All right, let's dive into Guanajuato, Mexico. This city is absolutely brimming with charm and history and, well, yeah, even a few mummies.
A few.
Yeah, a few. We'll get to that. But first, our source for this deep dive. We're using this really amazing YouTube video travel guide by Israel Plata, and let me tell you, it's stunning. Really captures the feel of the city.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so visually rich, it's like you're right there.
Exactly. So get ready because today we're going to explore stunning architecture, those crazy alleys, and oh yeah, those
We
mummies.
can't forget the mummies.
Not a chance. Plus delicious food, UNESCO World Heritage Sites, it's got it all. But
Yeah.
first things first, where even is Guanajuato?
Right. So Guanajuato is nestled in central Mexico,
Yeah.
which actually makes it pretty easy to get to from major hubs like Mexico City.
Oh, that's cool. So like you could fly into Mexico City and then what, take a bus?
Yeah, exactly. Or even a train. It's also pretty close to San Miguel de Allende, which is another beautiful colonial city.
So you could really combine a few destinations into one trip.
Absolutely. And what makes Guanajuato so special is that it's this incredible blend of, well, like centuries old colonial architecture.
Oh, I love that kind of stuff.
Right. But it also has this vibrant, modern energy. So it's not just like a museum city. It's a living, breathing place.
I can already tell I'm going to love this. Okay, so you mentioned the architecture, but I got to hear about these alleys. Over 3,200 of them, right?
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine that? It's like a labyrinth.
More like a maze. I'd get lost for sure.
Oh, you definitely would.
Yeah.
But there's one you absolutely can't miss. It's called El Callejón del Beso.
The Alley of the Kiss. That sounds romantic.
Oh, it is. So picture this.
Uh,
A super narrow alley, barely 2 feet wide.
whoa, 2 feet. That's tiny.
Yeah, it's pretty tight.
So,
But the legend says if you kiss your loved one in this alley, you get 7 years of happiness.
ooh. Okay, I'm adding that to my itinerary.
Definitely do it.
Mm-hmm.
And, speaking of romance, Guanajuato isn't just about cute alleys. It's also full of, like, seriously impressive architecture.
Okay, give me the highlights. What should I be Googling right now?
First up, Teatro Juarez.
Yeah.
Absolutely breathtaking. And fun fact, it was designed by the same architect who designed the Angel of Independence in Mexico City.
No way. That's incredible. So there's a connection there.
Right. Antonio Rivas Mercado, super talented guy, blends European styles with Mexican influences. It's amazing.
Okay, what else?
You've got the Basilica Collegiata de Nuestra Señora de Guanajuato, the main church. It's this beautiful Baroque style, dates back to the 17th century.
Wow, that's old.
Yeah. And then there's the Universidad de Guanajuato, almost 300 years old, and the Iglesia de la Compañía. Every building just, like, oozes history.
I'm getting serious European vibes.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
But, all this exploring makes me hungry. Luckily, Guanajuato has a killer food scene.
Okay, spill the beans. Where should I eat?
Well, first, you got to check out Mercado Hidalgo. It's this huge market with, like, souvenirs, fresh produce, flowers, and, of course, all that amazing Mexican food.
Oh my gosh, I love a good market.
Right. And if you're looking for a really special dining experience, I got to recommend Casa Velades.
What's so special about it?
It's got, like, the most delicious food, and the view from the restaurant is just, like, spectacular.
Yeah.
Seriously breathtaking.
Sounds like you found your spot.
Maybe. But honestly, Guanajuato is a foodie's paradise.
Mm-hmm.
Street food, rooftop bars, you name it, they've got it.
Now, you can't keep teasing me about the mummies. We got to talk about them.
Okay. So there's this place called the Guanajuato Mummy Museum.
Okay, I have to admit, mummies creep me out a little.
I get it, but it's actually super fascinating. These mummies, they come from a tragic time in Guanajuato's history.
Oh yeah, the cholera outbreak, right?
Yeah, back in 1833. Things were pretty chaotic, and people were buried quickly, sometimes, well, maybe not everyone was actually dead.
Oh wow, that's dark.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. But it's a powerful reminder of, like, the fragility of life and how disease can really impact a community.
It puts things in perspective, for sure. Okay, so we've got alleys, architecture, food, and mummies. What else is there to see?
You got to go to El Monumento al Pipila for, like, the best panoramic views of the city.
A view! I'm in. How do I get up there?
They have a funicular, like a little cable car that takes you to the top.
That's fun.
Oh, it is. And you know what? Get a one-way ticket up and then walk back down. There's a beautiful walk.
Ooh, good tip. Any other recommendations while I'm up there?
While you're admiring the view, grab a drink at Bar La
Yeah.
Terraza Encantada. Well, the name says it all. It's enchanting.
I'm sensing a theme here. Okay, so Guanajuato has beautiful views, but it's also got a big cultural scene, right?
Oh, yeah. They have this huge arts festival, the Festival Cervantino. It's one of the biggest in Mexico.
Wow, that's impressive.
It is. The whole city transforms into this giant celebration of art and creativity. And speaking of, cultural significance, Guanajuato's historic center is a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
That's a big deal.
It is. It means
Yeah.
it's recognized as a place of, like, global importance and beauty.
Okay, so far we've got a city of contrasts, beautiful alleys, stunning architecture, some seriously good food, and even a mummy museum.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, what has intrigued you the most about Guanajuato so far?
Hmm. That's a tough one. What about you?
It is hard to pick just one thing. I mean, there's so much to be fascinated by. But those mummies, they're definitely up there. They really give you a connection to the past.
Totally. It's like you can read about a cholera outbreak, but seeing those mummies, it just hits differently.
It does. It makes you think about what those people went through, the fear, the uncertainty.
Exactly. Like, imagine having to bury people so quickly, maybe even making mistakes, burying someone alive.
It's a chilling thought,
Yeah.
but it also makes you appreciate how far we've come in terms of medicine and understanding diseases.
Absolutely. And, places like that museum, they kind of force us to confront the difficult parts of history.
It's not always pretty, but it's important to remember. Okay, so going back to the architecture for a second, I'm really curious about the Teatro Juarez. You said it was designed by the same architect as the Angel of Independence.
Yep. Antonio Rivas Mercado. Talk about a legacy. This guy, he was a visionary.
It's amazing to think about one person having such a big impact on a country's architecture.
I know, right?
Uh,
And the Teatro Juarez is a perfect example of his style. All the ornate details, the grand scale, it's just stunning.
It really makes you realize that even places that seem far apart can be connected in unexpected ways.
Absolutely. That's what I love about traveling. You start to see these connections everywhere.
It's like a giant puzzle.
Hmm.
Okay, so Guanajuato has mummies, architecture, but let's not forget the food.
Right. Food is definitely a highlight. So what are you thinking? Mercado Hidalgo vibes or maybe a fancy dinner at Casa Velades?
Honestly, I am torn. I love the energy of a good market, but that view from Casa Velades sounds incredible.
It is. But, you can't really go wrong with food in Guanajuato. It's
I-
also good.
It sounds like a perfect mix of like excitement and relaxation all in one place.
It really is. And, the location is a plus. You could easily add Guanajuato to a bigger trip and see other parts of Mexico too.
Totally. All right, so as we start to wrap up this deep dive, I want to hear from our listeners.
We've talked a lot about Guanajuato, but what stood out to you?
What really caught your attention? What made you think, hey, I need to add Guanajuato to my travel list?
Was it those charming alleys? Each one a little path leading you back in time, or maybe you're thinking about that romantic kiss for 7 years of happiness.
Or maybe you're drawn to the architecture, all those grand buildings with stories to tell, like walking in the footsteps of those who came before us.
Or maybe it's the food that's calling to you. The energy of Mercado Hidalgo, all those colors and smells, or a fancy meal with a view at Casa Velades. Maybe that's your style.
It seems like Guanajuato really has it all. History, beauty, food, and even a touch of mystery with those mummies.
Yeah, it's a city full of contrasts, that's for sure. But I think that's what makes it so special.
And we can't forget those views. I can just picture myself standing up there at El Monumento al Pipila, looking out over the whole city.
Ah, that's the life. Or even better, enjoying a drink at that rooftop bar, watching the sunset over the city, music in the background.
And that's what I call a vacation. It seems like Guanajuato is the kind of place where you can really relax and soak it all in.
Yeah, totally. It's not about rushing from one site to the next. It's about savoring the experience.
So I guess the big question is, would you add Guanajuato to your bucket list after hearing all this?
What would you prioritize? Would it be finding that alley of the kiss, hoping for a little magic?
Or maybe you'd spend all your time exploring the architecture like a real history buff.
Or would you dive headfirst into the food scene, trying all the street food and local specialties?
Maybe you'd even brave the Mummy Museum, contemplating life and death and all of that.
Whatever your travel style, we hope this deep dive has inspired you to consider Guanajuato for your next adventure.
Until next time, happy travels, everyone.